Jalen Hurts outduels Carson Wentz in the biggest moment of the season for the Philadelphia Eagles, recapping a 28-22 win over the Minnesota Vikings. Coming up next right here on Locked On Eagles.
You are Locked On Eagles, your daily Philadelphia Eagles podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
We thank you so much for making Locked On Eagles your first listen each and every day. Welcome into the postgame show. I'm your host, Louis DiBiase. We are brought to you today by PrizePicks. Download the PrizePicks app and use our code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. In the biggest moment of the season so far, and a gut check game is what I described it during the week. With the offensive line struggling, they are injured yet again. Cam Jurgens comes out of this football game. Brett Toth is in at center, not playing very well. Landon Dickerson is not 100% at left guard. Kevin Patullo trying to call this game away for the Eagles. Some head-scratching decisions in both the first half and the second half. Carson Wentz, despite the mistakes of the first half, is dueling Jalen Hurts and playing really well in the second half. All of that is up against Jalen Hurts, backing him into a corner, and QB1 put on not only the best performance, the most complete game of 2025, but outside of Super Bowl 57, Super Bowl 59, how many games can you say Jalen Hurts was that good for 4 quarters and that clutch in his entire career? Like, there might be a couple performances from 2022 that you can circle. Of course, you can talk about last year in the NFC Championship game. He was incredible in that title game. Of course, both Super Bowls as well. But when you look at what he was up against on the road against a pretty good, scrappy Vikings team with his former predecessor really heating up in the second half, again, a bad offensive line that cannot get the run game going whatsoever, a play caller that he has to win in spite of, in a game, a situation, one-score game in the second half where if you lose, you've dropped 3 straight now. And at 4-3, this season could suddenly be on the brink of collapse like it was in 2023. In that kind of environment, Jalen Hurts puts up a performance of 19 completions, only 4 incompletions in this game. 19 of 23 on the day, 326 yards passing, and 3 passing touchdowns, including the go-to game winner to A.J. Brown in a tight window over the middle of the end zone. He had the biggest play of the game, though, was on that gotta-have-it drive where it's a one-possession game. He gets pressured and leaked outside to the right sideline, has to roll, keeps his eyes up, 3rd and long, which is a situation the Eagles are just not good in all year long. He finds A.J. Brown and converts it, keeps his eyes up, and makes that kind of accurate throw on the run. Like, this was the best version of Jalen Hurts that we have seen since Super Bowl 59, and that's also including the comeback in the second half against the Los Angeles Rams. And again, they had to have this from Jalen because the offensive line I couldn't believe Kevin Patullo on the drive before the game-winning drive. They are moving the ball down the field because of the passing game. Patullo calls up a running back draw in the shotgun when the run game hasn't been working, certainly not in the shotgun, and almost gives the game away to Minnesota. And the fact that Jalen was able to close this thing out anyway, it was an all-time great performance. And that is who Jalen Hurts is. As we said on the show earlier this week, there is an acceptance that you have to have with Jalen. Is he always week after week for 4 quarters every single game? Is he always an elite passer? No. I think he is more inconsistent than other star quarterbacks in that specific category. But outside of the last 2 games, it was rare to see him be so bad in the second half of football games that are close. Outside of these last couple performances, this game is what we know of Jalen Hurts. In these, you should not be surprised in that kind of difficult environment that he did what he did today. It's one of the most clutch players that I've ever seen in the NFL, especially at the quarterback position. He's not always an elite passer, but when he has to be in the biggest moments, in the closest games, the biggest games of the year, the gotta-have-it times, that is when this quarterback, this QB1, always puts on his best showing. And to me, that should be so much more valued when we're talking about where Jalen ranks among quarterbacks in the NFL than it is. This game is the epitome of what is so special about Jalen Hurts, what makes him great. I mean, the pocket presence, the ability to evade pass rushers, and the improvement that he's made over the years throwing on the run. I mean, that throw, go back and watch that play. That was the play of the game, the gotta have it moment. 3rd and 13. Again, the Eagles have been such a bad team throwing and just playing behind the sticks this year. And their first down offense has been so bad, and it was bad again today, that normally they are in those situations a lot. Normally that's a 3 and out. For him to get flushed out and make that kind of throw in that moment, Jalen Hurts from like 2021 does not make that play. It's awesome to see the evolution of this player. And it wasn't just the things that you've seen him grow from over the years that helped them get this win, but the deep ball too. I mean, talk about uncharacteristic things from Jalen the last couple of weeks. The deep ball has not been there. He missed A.J. Brown on pretty much the dagger touchdown against Denver. He missed DeVonta Smith on what could have been the dagger touchdown last week against the New York Giants. Well, today, he found the deep ball. I mean, some of those throws, DeVonta Smith, the 79-yard touchdown. I mean, the air yards he got on that was unbelievable. And shout out to Kevin Patullo, under center, play action. Hey, it works. We've been dying for this play to be utilized more in this offense for years. That moment is exactly why. I mean, the throw, again, the game-winning touchdown to A.J. Brown was on the money. The 4th down touchdown in the first quarter on the first drive where he points A.J. Brown upfield and just puts it on a rope. Just an absolute rainbow throw. Everything came together for Jalen today. I mean, the deep ball, he found that back. He's one of the best deep ball passers in the league. But the processing, the ability to throw against the blitz, he had an answer every time Flores threw a different kind of pressure package against him. And something that's been hurting him all year, he was really good against today, throwing in tight windows. That's something that has not been successful for Jalen Hurts this year. I thought today everything was great about Jalen Hurts. And that is the kind of performance, honestly, the Eagles are probably going to need going forward, because I'm not sure when this offensive line is going to get fully healthy, when this run game is going to get in sync. Were there some okay moments from the run game? Like, yeah, sure. I think Saquon Barkley had a couple nice plays, but overall, I mean, there was one of Saquon's best runs. He had to spin away from a defender 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage. The offensive line is really banged up. Their depth is not great. Howie Roseman definitely did not do a good enough job of building this offensive line depth in the offseason. And Kevin Patullo, I thought they won in spite. Although, shout out to Patullo for, the first game, the first play, the first drive script, I should say. I'll spit that out there. Kevin Patullo, he spits out a good, first drive initial game script. And I did like to see the under center play action be utilized more. I'd like that they just played under center more in general today, but I did think they won in spite of him. I could not believe that 3rd and 5 call. I thought it really could have been the game. And the first down offense still, when the run game's not working, Patullo struggles to really find ways to get the football in the hands of his elite playmakers in the quick passing game, getting Jalen Hurts on the move, using tempo more. These are basic things, using under center play action that he just, for some reason, won't call consistently. So this game to me was all about Jalen Hurts. Obviously, we're going to talk about DeVonta Smith and A.J. Brown in the passing game as a whole. I thought the defense, despite bleeding a little bit there in the second half against Carson Wentz, was pretty great today and kept this offense in the game when they were up and down through the first 2.5 quarters. But this one was all about Jalen Hurts in a duel against his former teammate, Carson Wentz. A gotta-have-it game. 5-2 right now looks so much better than 4-3 would have been if they dropped this one and lost 3 straight, especially against Carson Wentz and Justin Jefferson. This would have been a really, really long week. So what a big win, 28-22, the final score. Jalen Hurts again finishes 19 of 23, 326 yards, 3 passing touchdowns, 2 to A.J. Brown, 1 to DeVonta Smith. All 3 of them were explosive plays downfield. Didn't do much in the run game today. Actually, nothing at all. Had negative 10 rushing yards. But again, because of the moment and the scale of this game, like the pressure and everything he had to overcome, outside of the 3 championship games that I can think of, the 2 Super Bowls and the NFC title, I want to say this is the best game I've ever seen from Jalen Hurts. This is the best regular season performance that Jalen has ever had. And again, he saves his best for the most important moments. And that is why, despite some of the frustrations of his limitations at times as a passer, or I don't want to say limitations, his inconsistencies that we've had to deal with this year, this game is why you don't ever move on from this kind of player, that you deal with it, because you're going to get this more times than not. And with the talent they have on this roster right now, this is why you compete for championships. So what a huge win. I do want to talk about, though, DeVonta Smith and A.J. Brown coming up next, the clutch gene of those two receivers, what to do about Kevin Patullo in this offensive line. We'll get into the defense as well. 28-22 the final score. The Locked On Eagles postgame show rolls on, coming up next. All right, guys, today's episode of the Locked On Eagles podcast is brought to you by Rippling. If you're a business owner, here's the truth. SaaS promised to make work easier, but now the average company is buried by hundreds of apps that slow down your teams and simply don't work together. That's not SaaS, that's SAAD, software as a disservice. That's why you need Rippling. Rippling is the unified platform for global HR, payroll, IT, and finance, all in one place. They've helped millions of businesses replace a mess of disconnected tools with one system designed to give leaders clarity, speed, and control. By uniting your employees, teams, and departments in one system, Rippling removes the bottlenecks, busy work, and silos that your software created. Everything from onboarding to payroll to IT access runs automatically and perfectly in sync. And right now, you can get 6 months for free when you go to rippling.com/lockedonnfl. Learn more at Rippling, RIPPLING.com/lockedonnfl for 6 months free. Terms and conditions, of course, do apply. And guys, today's show, we are also brought to you by PrizePicks. Every day we make decisions, but on PrizePicks, being right can actually get you paid. Don't miss the excitement of this football season with PrizePicks, where it's good to be right. Playing PrizePicks is such a fun, simple way to add more excitement to football. You just pick more or less on player projections, like Josh Allen's passing yards or Saquon Barkley rushing for a touchdown, and then you're in the game. I love how quickly it is, how quick it is to make your lineup in under a minute. And PrizePicks just added stacks, so if you want to ride with a player, you can select their passing yards, rushing yards, and touchdowns all in just one lineup. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use our code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL for $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. It's good to be right. Whew, what a game. The Philadelphia Eagles take it. It wasn't easy. It was close. It was a back-and-forth second-half shootout. But a win's a win, especially in this kind of moment. And the way they won, you got to be satisfied. Like, yeah, look, this offensive line is really concerning me. You know, Cam Jurgens got hurt again. He has not been 100% this year. He missed the entire second half. Brett Toth had to play center, and I never want to see that guy play center again. It should be Drew Kendall moving forward the rest of the year. In moments where Jurgens is not out there, the fact that he was inactive today was very super head-scratching decision by the Eagles coaching staff. Landon Dickerson still not at 100%. The run game just cannot get in sync. And that's a problem, because the passing game was incredible today and they carried you, but this team cannot be a one-dimensional offense through the air, because this was an incredible performance by Jalen Hurts, DeVonta Smith, A.J. Brown, but the DNA of this team still is the run game, though. And long term, if they want to compete for a Super Bowl, they have to be able to be more effective, more efficient in the run game. And some of that's on Kevin Patullo, too. I thought the play calling today, again, give him credit. The initial game script has been great all year. The Eagles, for the first time in a long time, are a really good first quarter, first drive offense. And the under center looks today, that was a step in the right direction. That's been something we've been calling for all year as a fix. Kellen Moore used that a lot last year to get this offense back on track. I did think when they ran the ball more efficient today, it was under center, but there's still so many times where on 1st and 10, it's just the same running play over and over, and they get behind the sticks, and it's 2nd and 13, and then it's, 3rd and 10, 3rd and 7+. And this football team normally is not built. I shouldn't say they're not built, because they have the talent to do that, but they're normally not great in those situations. And that happened again today, over and over again. And it just feels like Patullo, it's really hard for them to get easy yards. You know what I mean? It always feels like all or nothing. Like Jalen Hurts said, I had to pull a rabbit out of a hat throwing the ball downfield evading pressure, getting outside the pocket, making things happen outside of structure, or nothing was going to happen at all. Like Patullo, again, he really struggles to scheme open easy yards for A.J. Brown, DeVonta Smith, Dallas Goedert, for Saquon. It's like when the run game doesn't work, why is there not easy yards still through the passing game? Like the quick passing game needs to be so much better. Get Jalen Hurts on the move more with moving pockets. I thought Jalen, there was at times he held the football a little bit too long today, and his mental clock needs to be faster. But I thought most of the time Jalen was spectacular, and it was Patullo on the offensive line that was holding this offense back. The offensive line, I think, simply just needs to get healthy. I don't know if that's going to happen this year where they're all 100% together. And they had some bad penalties again, but I think it's more just a byproduct of health up front. But for Patullo, it's like, I think there are easy answers at times to be more efficient on first and second down. And he does the same thing over and over again. And that happened today. Luckily, Jalen Hurts said, I don't care. I'm not losing to Carson Wentz. I am willing this team to a victory. And it wasn't just him. DeVonta Smith, can we give Smitty his flowers? He has been great over the last 3 games. And today was, I think, the best game of his career. 9 receptions for 183 yards and a touchdown. Had the deep 79-yard touchdown to open up the second half. That really was a tone setter and kept the Eagles in command of this football game. A couple huge third down conversions late in that football game. I mean, DeVonta, time and time again, this year and every year, in the biggest games, like he is the Jalen Hurts of wide receivers, where because he has such a talented offense, he has such another talented receiver across from him, and because the numbers don't always look sexy, he doesn't get the deserved reputation of being a true elite player at his position, a true wide receiver one, because of his environment around him. But Jalen Hurts always steps up in the clutch. DeVonta Smith always steps up in the clutch. I mean, just look at this year. He had the game-winning touchdown in the fourth quarter against the Los Angeles Rams. He had the game-winning first down conversion week 2 against the Kansas City Chiefs. Look at last year in the Super Bowl. Look at Super Bowl 57. Look at so many close games last year against Jacksonville. I'm just rattling off games that come to mind. Look at Smitty at Alabama in the national championship game multiple times. This is who he is. He's one of the most clutch players in the NFL. I think he's a top 10 wide receiver talent in the league, and yet he doesn't get that kind of deserved reputation like he should. I really do think he is kind of the Jalen Hurts of receivers, but DeVonta has no limitations. I mean, his ability to play through contact today, take some really big hits, play through injury. I mean, that touchdown where he flips Isaiah Rodgers' hips completely outside, in his hip pocket, breaks down the middle of the field for the touchdown. That is the elite route running that makes Smitty who he is. Like, that is his superpower. I mean, not breaking out of the route until you get right on his footsteps, right on his toes. Like, that is teach tape for what an elite route runner does. And DeVonta today there were a couple moments where it felt like the game was about to swing back over to Minnesota, and Smitty made a couple huge plays over the middle that kept Eagles drives alive. And I just think he deserves more recognition for the caliber of player he is. But again, he doesn't get credit because he's in a run-heavy offense with a wide receiver one, a generational wide receiver one on the other side of the formation. But DeVonta Smith, to me, on most teams, if you put him in Minnesota where Justin Jefferson is, he's going to put up Justin Jefferson, A.J. Brown type of numbers. So I just think we got to talk about him today too, because outside of Jalen Hurts, he was the best player on the field today. And so was A.J. I mean, averaged 30 yards a catch today, only 4 receptions, but he had 121 yards and 2 explosive touchdowns. They are going to need those 3 to look like the connection you had in 2022 in the first half of 2023 moving forward, if they do want to continue to win these games, if they want to continue to be a consistent offense, because with Patullo's clear limitations that I don't trust will get better this year, and the offensive line's health, I said this week, and I just said it on the show today, they need to be a better run offense, and that's still, I think, the identity of this football team, but I don't know if they'll ever get back to a dominant level of rushing this season. I think they can get much better, obviously, but I'm starting to wonder, if this is just what it's going to be this year, and if that's the case, the passing game, it's on you. It's on Jalen Hurts, and they answered the call today, but they're going to have to do that, I think, more this season. So hopefully, and A.J. Brown said it, they want this. This is why he got so frustrated for a month, because they can have these kinds of performances, and when they don't do it, like the game against Denver, like the game against New York, of course they're frustrated, because, I mean, look what they did today. They had combined, DeVonta Smith and A.J. Brown had pretty much all the passing yards. Jalen Hurts threw 326 yards today. DeVonta had 183. A.J. had 121. So math time, that's 304 yards of 326 total? The next leader in receiving was Dallas Goedert, 3 catches for 18 yards, and then Will Shipley had 1 grab for 7. I mean, those 3 single-handedly won you this football game. It felt very reminiscent of last year's performance against Pittsburgh, where, again, these guys just find a way in the gotta-have-it moments of a season to put on their best showing. Like that game against Pittsburgh, with all the drama of the week before, had to throw the football to win that game. Today, considering what's been happening the last month, like they had to have this kind of performance, and they got it. So, and I'm seeing in the comments, we needed this win. Big game for Hurts. Injuries are piling up. The play calling is, I don't think it's going to get better this year. You need your players, your star players, to carry you, and that is exactly what you got today. I do want to shout out the defense, though. Despite a shaky second half, this defense, again, just continues to keep you in football games until the offense figures it out. And that's been happening all year, like today. But there is one specific thing that they got today that they haven't all year, and it's going to be instrumental in competing for a championship this year moving forward. I'll tell you what that is coming up next as we continue to recap this 28-22 win over the Minnesota Vikings coming up next. Before that, though, guys, today's episode is brought to you by Mazda. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride, with more IIHS Top Safety Pick awards than anybody else. From footwork to breathwork, athletes sweat all the details. Mazda brings the same intention to how they craft every model. You can feel Japanese craftsmanship in every detail. From the metallic accents to available Napa leather upholstery, you can make everyday drives feel like anything but. From smooth handling to intuitive controls. With all-wheel drive standard in every crossover SUV, you can drive with confidence through almost any season. Like the players, they sweat every detail, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. Guys, today's show is also sponsored by America's #1 sportsbook. It's FanDuel. If you bet on Jalen Hurts today, A.J. Brown, DeVonta Smith, odds are you won some money. The NFL season's here. FanDuel has an offer that you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 back in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you're going to unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love how FanDuel gives you just so many ways to play, from parlays to player props. You can even follow the live lines during games. It makes watching football so much more exciting when you've got a little something riding on the action. Whether you're a casual fan or love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. The Philadelphia Eagles win it 28-22 over the Minnesota Vikings. Jalen Hurts has the best regular season game of his career, in my opinion. Like, that was a tier 1 Jalen performance with Super Bowl 57, Super Bowl 59, last year's NFC Championship. There were some nuclear performances from Jalen in 2022, but again, like the magnitude of this game, the struggling offensive line, the bad play calling, a close game against Carson Wentz, the former face of this franchise, in the building that you won that first championship without him. Like, this was a huge moment in the year, trying to avoid a 3-game losing streak. 5-2 instead of 4-3 is massive for this football team, especially with the schedule getting a lot more difficult. You got Green Bay soon, Detroit, Buffalo, a couple Washington games, another Dallas game. Like, you needed to have this one. And Hurts puts on his best showing, best regular season game of his career. And let's just take a moment to kind of appreciate this game. I think it's going to be a classic for me. One of my favorite football games ever, because just think about the story aspect of this. I was already kind of breaking it down a little bit. It's a second half shootout, a duel between the most recent 2 faces of the Eagles franchise, Jalen Hurts and Carson Wentz, right? It's in Minnesota, where you won that first Super Bowl without Carson. Carson now is on that football team, which he grew up cheering for, the Minnesota Vikings. He has Justin Jefferson on his offense now, who's the receiver that could have saved his career if he had him instead of Jalen Reagor in Philadelphia. He's going up against, with Justin Jefferson, an Eagles defense that basically got put together from the picks they got that they accumulated through the Carson Wentz trade and all the trades that came after that, because they had the flexibility to make more moves with the Wentz trade in hand, with the picks in hand. So, like, Wentz is going up against the defense that basically his trade built, with the receiver he should have always had in Philly, going up against the guy that replaced him in a shootout with his hometown team in the stadium that probably haunts him because of that Super Bowl 52, missing that game, and the Eagles come out on top. Like, I don't know, it feels like a movie script. So for me, as a journalism major, as a guy that loves the narratives and finding the angles of a football game, not just the X's and O's, but kind of romanticizing it, like, that was, I think, a really cool moment, a really cool game for the Eagles, and for Wentz and Hurts too. Like, I don't know, just for me as a guy that loved Carson Wentz in Philadelphia, you guys know I defended him more than anybody, and to kind of see, like, the clash of almost like an alternate reality Eagles with Carson Wentz and Justin Jefferson. It's kind of like Superman going up against, sorry for DC fans out there, he's a Bizarro that's like an alternate evil version of Superman. It's kind of like you're going up against an alternate reality of who you could be right now as the Eagles if you drafted Justin Jefferson and you're playing with the team you got because of the Wentz trade instead. And you traded Wentz because you didn't take Jefferson. So, I don't know. For me, connecting all those dots, you guys are probably like, shut up, but I thought it was really cool. And that's a classic game. I mean, a back and forth battle. Wentz, though, I mean, the game was kind of decided too early. They had to play from behind, and Wentz had to catch up because he still just continues to make mistakes, holds onto the football too long, makes some egregious passing attempts in windows that he should not be throwing in, had 2 interceptions in back-to-back drives. Jalen Hunt had a pick 6 today. He was incredible, by the way. I said it this week, with Zadarius Smith retiring and with Nolan Smith injured, they need more from Jalen. He consistently got to Wentz today. He didn't have a sack, but he could have had like 3 or 4. Had that pick 6, showing off his former safety skills, finishing that catch, scoring. Got to Wentz consistently today. Drew Makuba gets a pick the very next play. The defense, I want to give a shout out to them. Like Carson, 313 passing yards. Really ran the ball well in that final drive, which was clutch. He converted 2 third and long plays with his legs for first downs to keep them alive in Minnesota. But the Eagles defense held Minnesota, which is a really talented offense, an elite play caller, the best receiver maybe in football, and Wentz is an aggressive player. They held him to just 16 points until late in the game. I mean, the defense consistently keeps this team in football games. So Jalen was great. I thought Jalen Carter is the guy I really want to talk about. But Moro Ujoma, a really clutch sack again today, as he's been doing all year. Nakobe Dean in his return to the defensive lineup with Jihad Campbell playing more edge, I thought had an incredible performance. Just flying downhill, making some big-time plays like he did all of last year. Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, an incredible job on Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. That's one of the best receiver duos in the league. And I thought Q and DeJean held them at bay for the majority of the football game. Again, Makuba gets that clutch pick. It was a whole team effort on defense, like it's been all year. But one thing they got today that they haven't all year, that can take this team to another level, is the elite performance they got from Jalen Carter in this matchup. They haven't gotten that this year because Jalen has not been 100%. He has not really been in shape. He got kicked out of the first game. Today, that was the world breaker Jalen Carter that you saw like last year in the divisional round against the Los Angeles Rams. The guy that we thought we'd get all year, that they need all year. You haven't really seen that, but you saw it today. I mean, Carter was after Carson Wentz for 4 quarters, destroying those one-on-one matchups he got, getting a lot of double teams, clearing things up. I thought the pass rush was so much better today than over the last couple weeks. Josh Uche gets his first sack of the year. Again, Ujoma got there for a sack, clutch in the 4th quarter in the red zone to make sure the Vikings don't score a touchdown. Who else? I mean, Jordan Davis played really well today. Jalen Hunt, as I said, had the best game of his season so far. It was all started, though, because Jalen Carter's presence was so gravitational. Like, Minnesota had to stop Jalen, and it freed things up for the other pass rushers. I mean, his hit on Carson Wentz on the pick 6 against Jalen Hunt, or to Jalen Hunt, where he just easily beats his one-on-one. Just that classic Jalen Carter, steps inside, steps outside, swim move, takes down Wentz, almost broke the guy's ribs. That's the Jalen Carter you need moving forward. He's the alpha of this defense, and he hasn't been that guy this year. He's been solid when he plays, but this world breaker Jalen Carter they got, especially with the edge rushers injured, not being as consistent this year. We'll see. Maybe Brandon Graham's going to come out of retirement. We'll talk about that on tomorrow's show. But even if that happens, even if they trade for somebody, they need Jalen Carter to be the go-to guy to make those kind of plays. And luckily he was that today. And that really made the difference too, because if you don't have Jalen Carter in this football game, I don't know if you win this game. He was absolutely incredible. It doesn't always show up on the stat sheet, on the box score, but Jalen Carter was the best player on that defense today, and that needs to be the case moving forward. Like, it was just great to see the Eagles stars take over this football game. A.J. Brown, DeVonta Smith, Jalen Hurts, Jalen Carter and Quinyon Mitchell and Coop. Like, those are the guys you need to carry you most of the time, and they haven't always been carrying you this year. So to see that today, big time. You're going to need that moving forward. What a win. 28-22 the final. The Eagles are 5-2 on the year. We've got 4 more shows for you this week from myself, 2 squad shows. We've got another live postgame show coming up right after this with myself, Jason Martinez, and Harry Mays. So stick to Locked On Eagles each and every day. Subscribe on YouTube. Subscribe in all audio platforms, wherever you listen to the show. And we appreciate you for making Locked On Eagles your first listen each and every day. As always, thanks so much for downloading, watching, and listening. And let's go, Birds. Fly, Eagles, fly.